So I'm bringing the green down this end of the table just to talk about that roll-up snooker.
Yeah.
So can I see how you would do that? So this is bulk. There are no reds here, even though there are. And yet you're trying to snooker behind the green with all the reds up there.
Oh, the reds are up there.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're not here.
Yeah.
Pretend that they're down there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you've got this question in your mind, but should we hit +1 or should we hit below centre? Have you wondered about that?
Yeah. I think it's maybe, I feel like it's easier to control if you put some backspin at first, just to slow a bit the white. Gives you maybe a better touch than just to roll. And again, if you roll it, it might drift a bit if it's very, very slow.
Yes, so there is that element, but my own personal preference is that I'd play above centre, because if you play below centre, if you get the height wrong, it slows down too much, or doesn't go slow enough. And yeah, you don't, I mean, to slow the white down, you just need to play softer.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you just shorten the backswing. So if I want a tiny shot, I just 5mm backswing and just push it. I can't hit it further than that. Yeah?
Yeah. Right, okay.
So I would learn to do that, and then if it still isn't working after some time, if you feel it still gives you some element of confidence, or then you go to -2 or something.
Just the feeling really, but I think I could do with +1.
Yeah, I think you should have the ability to do both.
Okay.
Yeah, part of snooker is, all right, there are 2 or 3 ways of doing something. If you can do each way, maybe in different situations, they are useful.
Yeah, I guess.
So let's learn to do a +1. Okay, and the little trick that I found, because I was always greedy, I wanted to be touching the green, which would be great, wouldn't it, if you...
It would, yeah. You need to be so precise.
Yeah, so it's a good shot, but it's the wrong shot.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I came up with was multiply this distance by 10%, and that's how far I'm going to push the green up the table. So I've got a 10% margin of error.
Yeah.
So from here, for example, what's 10% of that? That's maybe to here.
There,
Yeah. I mean, you're still going to be... And the other thing is, maybe... I don't know how much difference it would make, but if you're playing green plus a bit of speed, maybe it'll keep the white straighter a little bit.
A little bit, probably.
Well, it would do, yeah. It would keep it 10% straighter, wouldn't it, than landing touching on the green. So maybe that would offset the risk of opening the possibilities for the opponent by reducing the drift. Who knows? But let's see you do that. So just above centre, push it 10% further than the distance to the green. That's it, that's fine. You can't see any of those balls down there, can you? Alright, I can come off the side cushion, it's not ideal, but as you practice this, you might be able to reduce that to 7 or 5%.
Yeah, well, and I guess you don't need to have the absolute perfect speed to touch the green, because sometimes if you're just a touch too hard, you push the green and the green goes back on its spot and they'll end up touching. So
Yeah.
a little bit of margin.
Let's have a look at that. Yeah, actually I'm still going for 10% because from there, I feel I'm happy with 10%. as a margin.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I was talking about. The green went back to its spot.
Yeah,
without
yeah.
That touch.
I played that, of course.
Yeah, okay. Of course.
But as soon as I hit it, I thought that's not a very good shot. Then I'm relieved that I built a 10% margin. I hit that a lot slower than I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I got away with it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. But most players, they're too greedy. They try and get too close to the ball. It's wrong. It's the wrong priority. I would not be happy with less than 10%. I'd feel pressure.
Yeah.
The other thing that my billiards coach taught me, Martin Goodwill, right, if you hold the cue at the balance point there, just do that, look, which is probably, is that balancing there? Okay. So then, just stand up a little bit like this. So bridge hand on the table. Yes, if you hold the cue at the balance point, it is easier to control the speed. There's less weight in the cue. But if this has got to be vertical, the cue arm's got to be vertical. So I'll see it from that side. I'm not familiar playing this left-handed, so about there, elbow off the table, literally half standing up. Oh, actually, so my arm is forwards or vertical, isn't it? Yeah, so somewhere close to the balance point, probably a couple of inches behind it, to stop the cue tipping off the bridge. But yeah, it is just easier to control the speed gently. Let's see you do that from here. That looks good. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, I think that one thing I saw from Barry Stark again, and when they are very close.
The miscue.
Yeah, the miscue is one thing, but I don't really. It doesn't work for me. I tried it, but and probably you aim -4 or less, and you raise your bridge. So the tip is just caressing the cue ball, kind of. Something like that. Needs practice.
Yeah, so I wonder whether that way I'd...
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so you could... But it's... Yeah... I'd probably maybe drop the butt instead.
Yeah, maybe.
But... That's not... I think you're at risk of playing a push shot there anyway. Yeah, when it comes up, you could in theory play a push shot there, I think. Because as the white goes forward, it stops on the green and the tip's still going up.
Yeah.
But I mean that's a completely acceptable shot, but I'll show you how to play it anyway.
Okay.
So look, if you have a look from over here, probably need a small angle, that's what I would do. Can you see what percentage of the tip is overhang? Most players do it here, half. Just stand exactly in front of the cue, look there. That's half the tip, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want about 10% of the tip. Let's see you do that. Not so much angle, but bring the cue this angle here. Yeah, the centre of the ball, a bit less of the tip, covering the white, a bit less. That's it, yeah. That's it.
Right.
Any more tip than that, it's too much.
Yeah.
And you'll play a push shot. Do that again. Less tip. Yeah, something like that. That's it. Do it again.
Yeah, that's nice actually.
There you go. Can't do better than that.
Yeah.
Is that a bit easier than from...
Yes, a bit. Yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult to, you know, if Barry was here in the room, he'd probably tell you how to do it, but it's not easy of always learning everything, absorbing everything from video.
Yeah, that's what I found. The miscue way, I didn't really... Well, I was striking. I wasn't really miscuing. I was probably just putting a lot of side. And yeah, I didn't feel like...
Yeah, it's like you're putting R5 instead of deliberately playing
Yeah.
the miscue. Yeah. The other way of doing it is, let's see if I can do this left hand. Right, so.
Okay.
That's another way of doing it. Yeah, that. I'll make it a bit easier for you. Oh, that's good first of all. Look, do it from there first to start with. Then the balance point is in front of the cushion. That's it, yeah, a bit easier from there.
Yeah, it works. Well, yeah, the risk is because you need to put a bit of power, right? If you misjudge it, you can go too hard.
Yeah, well, I find it easier to do that right-handed, so there we go, just push the hand against the cush. Move the tip up next to the right ball without touching it and just...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, you've got... Okay, so then I need to readjust it. Takes a bit of practice. So.
Yeah, it takes a bit of practice. It can be done as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there was the problem, for example, if I this side of the table, there are the reds.
Mm-hmm.
The green's here, and I need to play it from here, for example.
Mm-hmm. Roll-up snooker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, oh well, maybe from here, I don't know.
So not right behind it, not full ball, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So you
Yeah.
need to calculate if you miss the perfect snooker, which side would you rather miss it?
Yeah, so assume that the green is going to move 10%,
Yeah.
and then you kind of work out, do I want it there or there or there?
Yeah, exactly. If the reds were there, of course.
Let's do it this way.
Yeah.
So look, that's your one red, okay? And let's say, if I was going in from here. I mean, this is 10%, Yeah, the green is 10% of the moving 10% of the distance. Only when you hit it full ball.
Yeah.
So if you hit it less than that, the white's going to run away a bit, isn't it? But you're... See if you can do that. So push it. In a way, what you can also imagine is sending the white 10% of the distance further. That's another way of doing it. Although, white 10% further is less speed than pushing the green 10%, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, I was hitting it about 3/4 ball-ish.
Yeah, do another. That's a good shot. Right. Good. Got away with it.
Not much margin.
Got away with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go with last one. Maybe holding the cue. No, not here, but a bit more.
Yeah, that helped me a lot
Yeah.
on these shots. That's it. I'm looking like a professional now. I wonder actually. Yeah, I think getting the elbow actually off the table up here.
It helps as well because you can see better the distance between the balls.
Maybe, yeah. You can see how close the tip is to the cue ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no obligation to get the elbow down. In fact, probably the higher you are, the closer your hand gets to the balance point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if I'm here, my hand's at the end of the cue. If I'm up here, my hand's backwards at vertical there, isn't it? So I want to go in here. Yeah, so that's a good reason to be a bit higher. Let's see you do that. The myths of eye preference, eye strength and eye dominance. This is one of my favourite subjects because it's mis-explained so often